So y'all, it is Cop Pizzle, 60-minute man, the longest running reigning New York Giants channel in the game. You get it. So the Giants, after they had Super Bowl victories in Super Bowl 42, Super Bowl 46, the Giants had a little bit of luster about them, a little bit of appeal. You know, there was this feeling that we were among not only one of the greatest franchises in the NFL, but we were also among one of the teams that was going to be contenders each and every year. And over the last decade or more now, we have lost that. We have lost that feeling of being among one of the upper echelon teams in the league. Nobody takes us serious. You know, when you listen to Eagle content creators or Cowboy content creators, I don't listen to anything Commander content creators, and even some Giant content creators, you hear that negative energy about this team and about what they feel like is going to happen in the 2024 season. Nobody is legitimately considering the Giants being Super Bowl contenders. Now, I love to do my trash talk, right? I love to talk about how the Giants are going to do this and do that, but I don't ever really come out and say that the Giants are legitimate Super Bowl contenders until now. Because I believe that the Giants made 3 key moves this offseason that have taken them to a different place. And I honestly believe if you're an Eagles fan or a Cowboys fan, you should be concerned about the New York Football Giants. And look, I also believe that there are some New York Giant fans, content creators alike, that they haven't realized yet what the Giants have done. And I mean, they know what the Giants have done, but I don't think they understand the impact that this is going to create. So I want to go over those 3 things. And I'll go in the order of which from least to most important. But look, I think one of the things that the Giants did is actually give Daniel Jones a number 1 target. You know, to get Malik Neighbors, when you look at him in OTAs and you look at his physical makeup, right? And you just see that he's just built different from the receivers that we have had over the last year or two. You look at his physical makeup, you realize that, oh, he's clearly going to be the alpha in the room. There's no question on who the number 1 target's going to be. There's no question that there's going to be some big plays made by Malik Neighbors. Now, that doesn't mean that guys like Wandale, Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton aren't going to be important as well. They are. They're going to be needed because I believe Malik Neighbors is going to be a huge target to defend for opposing teams. But you can just tell already how important Malik Neighbors is going to be for this team. He's going to see the field right away. Unless barring any injury, this man is going to be inserted into the Week 1 starting lineup immediately, and I believe he's going to make an impact immediately. I don't think that there's going to be this long process. It's going to take him some time. No, he's going to be him from the get-go. So that is one thing. And look, we have not had a legitimate number 1 receiver since OBJ. I've talked about that ad nauseum over the years, that I believe that OBJ should have been traded. I still believe that we won that trade, but we never replaced OBJ. We haven't had legitimate number 1 receivers. And even going before OBJ, we didn't really have legitimate number 1 receivers until going back all the way to the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowls that we had. I mean, guys have came in at multiple different random times over the last years. Like, Golden Tate wasn't that good. I'm sorry. Kenny Golladay wasn't any good. They tried to create that number 1 target with Darren Waller last year. It just didn't work. Like, it hasn't worked. So the reality is that I don't think that we've tried to patch that at times. And, you know, obviously Kenny Golladay, for example, was a huge patch job that just ultimately didn't patch, right? I mean, it didn't work. But now I believe you've brought in a legitimate elite athlete to play that position, and one that is going to bolster. I mean, it's just going to make the offense make more bigger plays. In addition to that, the second thing that I want to talk about is the offensive line. And it's not necessarily about the key pieces, because I still believe the key pieces are Andrew Thomas, JMS, and yes, Evan Neal. Now, look, to bring in the additions that they brought in through free agency, they've given the Giants ability to have depth, but they've also bolstered those in just talent. I think Runyon potentially being on the side with Neal is going to be a really big deal, because look, Evan Neal obviously could use a little help, right? It could really be important that he has somebody next to him that he trusts. But I also still believe in Evan Neal. There's a lot of Giant fans, in my opinion, that are a little dramatic about Evan Neal's play. Look, it's not been great, but he still has time to grow. He's still young. Like, I don't. There's so many people, and we live in this fast modern society that if you're not instantly great away, you're just apparently thrown out. You're a bust. You're trash. Sometimes it takes time. It takes time to develop. It takes time to grow. I believe in Evan Neal. Look, at the end of the day, if Andrew Thomas goes down and gets hurt, then this offensive line is big time screwed. If there was one player that the Giants cannot afford to lose this season, it's Andrew Thomas. You lose Andrew Thomas, you lose damn near everything. I mean, that's honestly what I believe. Quarterback it won't matter who the quarterback is, because I feel like that drop off is pretty tremendous. I really do believe that. Now, maybe with the additions that the Giants have brought in, maybe that won't be the case, but we just can't lose Andrew. If there's just one person we can't lose, it's Andrew Thomas. I think when you get another season under JMS's belt, I think that's going to be important. And look, I still believe in Evan Neal. So the offensive line is going to help out tremendously this season. I think we're going to have a better running game, and we lost Saquon. I really do believe that. I think there's a chance that even happens. And I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds ridiculous to some people, but I think that this offensive line is going to be so much better this season than it was a year ago, or even the last couple years, that you're going to see improvement in the running game. And the last thing, and the most important thing that I think the Giants did this offseason, was to get Brian Burns. And look, when you follow Giants football like myself for over the last 30 plus years, you realize there are moments in time when you look back that there are some really special moments on this team. The pass rush that we had for Super Bowl 42, for example, was something fucking special. Even having something alternate to that in Super Bowl 46 was something special as well. Those were tremendous players that, are legends to the New York Football Giants organization and franchise. I don't think that we've had a pass rush since those days like what we have now. I mean, this has a chance to be a common theme, a common thing to what that used to be. When you add in Kayvon, Brian Burns, and then Dexter Lawrence, who I think Dexter Lawrence, you could make the case, is a top 5, if not top 3 defensive tackle in the National Football League. When you take out Aaron Donald out of the NFL, I think Dexter Lawrence is in the running for one of the best players at that position. When you add in, when you mix that in with Kayvon and Brian Burns, we haven't had a pass rush like this for a very long time. And there's so much talk about the quarterback position for this team that Eagle fans and Cowboy fans, they hear that shit. They hear about us fighting over the quarterback, and you hear Giant fans, we get lost in the sauce a little bit talking about the quarterback. But probably the biggest move made this offseason was Brian Burns. If these guys stay healthy, Kayvon, Burns, and Dexter Lawrence, guys, we're going to create sacks, which we haven't been getting sacks hardly at all over the last decade. In addition to that, when you look at the additions that they've made over the last 2 years in the secondary, look, there's some ball hawking guys in our secondary. They're going to be young. They're going to take chances. They're going to get burned. We're going to give up big plays. Like, it's going to happen. But when you look at the makeup of the secondary guys, in addition to the pass rush, the Giants, for the first time in a really long time, are going to be able to create turnovers. And to me, it's pretty obvious that that's going to happen. Now, what we do with that, who knows? But you can see on the surface that if this unit stays healthy with Burns, Kayvon, and Dexter Lawrence, those three guys have every chance to really carry this team. In the fact of getting sacks and creating good field position for the offense, in the fact of creating turnovers, those three guys have the Giants in the palm of their hands of how successful we be. If they don't have good seasons, I don't know what the Giants look like. If Burns and Kayvon and Dexter go out, I wish I had like some great triple threat nickname to give them, because honestly, Earth, Wind, and Fire or something, because honestly, the big three is maybe what I should call it. Those three, they're going to go as they go, the Giants go. That's what I honestly believe. And for anybody to say the Giants aren't going to be any good, or we haven't seen these guys play on a field yet, so you don't know what this are. You don't know. You can't tell me if the Giants are 80-1 or 8-1 to win the Super Bowl yet. You can't tell me that, because you haven't fucking seen this combination on the field and the pass rush that these guys are going to create. We're going to be able to get to Dak. We're going to be able to get to Jalen Hurts. We're going to be able to get to opposing quarterbacks in the NFL now, and that's going to create turnovers, create field position. I honestly believe, guys, that for the first time in a long time, you can consider the Giants to be Super Bowl contenders. And when you look at the NFC makeup, there's not a lot of scary teams in the NFC side of the bracket. Now, the AFC is their own little thing, but the NFC is absolutely up for grabs, especially the NFC East. 100% the NFC East. So, look, that's what I believe. Maybe I'm drunk, but I honestly believe that for the first time in a long time, you can consider the New York Giants Super Bowl contenders.